Hello, I'm here. You can hopefully hear me. I just knocked over pretty much everything except my tea on my desk right as I was trying to go live, so that was fun. Hello. I'm finally here. Seals Apple, hello. How are you? I was hoping to do this stream this morning, and I was all ready. I was on time for a change, and then the power went out for 2 hours. And I was just, it went out early enough that I was like, okay, you know, maybe it'll come back for the stream. I'll just eat breakfast and just get ready, and then I'm glad to hear you're doing well. What have you been up to? I feel like I don't get to talk to you very often. Yeah, so I was basically like, you know, it'll come back, and then it didn't. Flanny, hello! Also, Flanny, can I just say, I don't know how, like, you instantly knew that I needed coffee this morning when the power went out, but you're 100% right. I was like, my top thing, aside from not being able to start stream on time, was I had not yet made coffee. And yeah, I really did. And I was like, I have to choose if I'm going to walk to the Starbucks and back, which is like a half an hour to get there and back. And that's not including waiting. And I was like, Woof even said, I was texting Woof, and he was like, you should just go. And I was like, but what if the power comes back on like 5 minutes after I leave? So I ended up just waiting it out. I did a whole bunch of writing on my iPad, which luckily was charged enough to get me through. Sugaraz, hello. Flanny and Seals were here first, but they didn't say first, so I guess technically you're the first to say first. You're the first to say first. How are you, friends? I hope the universe is treating you all much better than it's been treating me. I don't know. I was talking to Bart about this morning. I don't know what I did to piss off the cosmos, but like Tuesday I got the envelope that had not craft scissors in it, because my craft scissors were taken and somebody just mailed me an empty box, and they still have not mailed my replacement for that. And then yesterday I woke up sick. Today I feel fine. I took cold medicine this morning, and I actually haven't taken any this afternoon because I feel fine. I don't even feel like I'm that stuffed up anymore. I took NyQuil last night and just passed the hell out for 6 hours, and it was great. But then this morning I was like, great, I feel better. Everything's on track. And then the power went out. And so Wolf was like checking the map for me, and finally like I called the company, the electric company, because I was like trying to decide if I should just leave the house, and the lady was like, yeah, it'll probably be another hour, and I was like, oh my god. I've been busy with my teaching and my own schoolwork, but I'm not complaining. I can usually only lurk in the mornings and afternoons. Well, I'm glad to see you. I know I see you in Joe's chat a lot, and I always try to say hey, but I also don't want to detract too much from, you know, what's going on in Joe's stream. But sometimes busy is good, like if it's the good kind of busy. I have been both the good kind of busy and the bad kind of busy lately. But yeah, so I don't know, the power did come back after, I think it was about like an hour and a half, because it went off around 9:30, and it was like 9:35, and it came back like 5 after 11. So it was pretty much an hour and a half, and it was like 20 minutes before they were estimating it was going to be back. So I was like, oh, okay. The first thing I did when, like, there are like 10 things in the house that beep first of all when the power comes back on. So first I had a heart attack because everything beeped. But the second thing I did after I recovered from that was I just hit the power button on the coffee pot, because I was like, I'm having coffee. So yeah, that was top priority. Number one wasn't getting my computer back on, letting people know that the power was back on. Top priority was I need coffee, and I need it now. But yeah, I mean, I basically just, instead of working on Everyone's Child in the morning, like I was going to, and stream. I worked on my other novel project this morning, which I was easily able to remember. Because the other thing is, my outlining program that I use, this here, OneNote, that doesn't work on my iPad. I can't get those files to open on my iPad. So there was a lot of me trying to remember what was supposed to happen in my novel next. So luckily I was able to remember, and I was able to write about 1,000 words. I started late because I was hoping the power would come back on by 10:30, because I was like, if it's back by 10:30, I'll just do a late stream, it'll be fine. But when it was clear that wasn't happening, I was like, all right, I have to just try to squeak by. So I was able to write about 1,000 words in my other project and just get that squared away, so that when the power came back on, I was like, all right, we'll just stream in the afternoon. We'll work on this now. I feel really bad though, because I know that different people are around in the mornings and afternoons, and I know, like, I streamed in the afternoon on Wednesday, but I'll be streaming tomorrow morning, so hopefully that'll make up for it. I mean, knock on wood, the power doesn't go out 2 days in a row. I do have to run to the blood clinic tomorrow. I'm feeling good enough that I'm confident I'll be able to go, so I have to run to the blood clinic tomorrow, just get a blood draw done, which hopefully won't take too long. Usually if I time it right, it only takes about half an hour to get in and get out, so I should be able to do that well before, if I get up early, which is horrible, but if I get up early, I should be able to go to the clinic and get back before the regular time. So provided I have power at the regular time, I should be able to hopefully stream tomorrow morning, and hopefully that'll make up a little bit for the fact that I wasn't able to stream this morning. As I warned yesterday, and Wolf will be very upset if he shows up, but we're going to be doing big camera and small words now, because we've pretty much hit 75% of this book. So I've talked about, like, the plot and what's happening and what the characters are doing and why I'm doing things the way I'm doing them up to this point, but I kind of feel like if I want people to buy this book and read this book when it's finished, it's time to leave a few things up to the imagination. Because if we don't leave a few things up to the imagination, then there won't be any point in anybody purchasing the book, I guess, if that makes sense. So I want to leave a couple of surprises for people. My white noise just does not want to load. Because of course it doesn't. Oh my goodness. More technological problems. I've talked to Ghost about... It wouldn't have saved the stream. I still wouldn't have been able to stream. But I've talked to Ghost about getting an uninterrupted power supply for my office. Because pretty much since August, we've had 3 power outages. So we basically get them once a month now. And it's crazy to me because we lived here for almost 2 years with not a single power outage, and now we get them once a month. Luckily, when this one happened, I wasn't doing anything. Hey, Pug, how are you? Luckily, when this one happened, I wasn't doing anything. I was sending an email, which Gmail automatically saves, like, your drafts, so no big deal there. But... Oh, my white noise finally loaded, did it? Let's see if this works. I don't think it's actually working. It's kind kind of working, I guess. It's what I'm gonna get. So luckily this morning I wasn't actually doing anything because I hadn't really started work yet, and it was like, okay, whatever. But a couple of times now I've been mid-scene, and the power just goes off. And I used to write on a laptop, and so if the power went out, it wasn't a big deal because I could just save or keep going depending on my laptop battery. And now it's a bit stressful, so I know that I won't necessarily be able to keep like a 2-hour power outage. I probably wouldn't have been able to work through the whole thing, but I want to have the ability to save what I'm working on and not have to wait an hour being like, when was the last time I hit the save button? Because even though I try to hit the save button fanatically, I forget. Sometimes you just forget. So, sorry, I need to pop my ears. So, anyway, long story short, here we are. We're at pretty much the 75% mark. You can't see it because it's tiny. But these little red marks that I have in the book right here are telling me that we're at the 75% mark of the book. And we're going to be writing the main plot, 75% confrontation. We started it yesterday. The scene that we were writing led into it. I'm going to write all the action in secret mode here so that you guys don't necessarily know what happens. But Patriciel and Aleith are going to duel. Not with words. They dueled with words yesterday. They're going to duel with weapons today. And I get to write that, which is going to be a challenge because I'm not the best at action scenes. So double whammy. I did mention a bit before too that I was feeling a little uncertain about this particular project. I've spent some time thinking about what I think the problems are, and I do have some plans for fixing them. Would you like to continue on a Flanny meme? Yes? Question mark? What am I agreeing to? What is the small print? Is that the meme is just modding you? I'm pretty sure I trust Flanny. How do I actually, hang on. I need to remember how I actually mod people. Type /mod. Okay. Did that work? It didn't give me any feedback. There you go. There you go. I guess I trust Flanny. Go wild, go crazy. I'm a mod in like everyone's channel. I mean, it's because we trust you. I had a moment there where I was like, oh no, am I gonna be recorded saying something like poor Sandream last night? Those blurps that Shagraz kept playing. I keep getting that ad too. I guess you... Wait, you shouldn't be getting ads right now. What? Hang on. Why are people getting ads? I have them turned off. I'm so confused. But you shouldn't be getting pre-roll ads because I have pre-rolls turned off and I ran ads before I started. So you theoretically shouldn't be seeing ads? I'm not sure what the point of me running ads during my ad break is, if they're just gonna force pre-rolls onto my channel anyway. I know, and Twitch seems to be particularly bad about ads lately. I've noticed that they're playing them way more and way more often, and I think Andrew was saying that his ad settings were changed without his knowledge, so it's just really frustrating because I literally just read that if you roll, but I guess it only means 10 minutes of pre-roll ad-free? I don't know. I don't want to run like 2 minutes of ads. That's so stupid. Anyway. Anyway, I didn't know what I was agreeing to, and I was expecting to be blurped. I was expecting you to tell me to read something, and then it would be blurped. So... can I focus enough to get some work done today? Let's find out. I won't repeat what was said in the blurps yesterday because Sugraz is lurking in chat, and I'm sure he would love to have 2 separate people saying that. I felt so bad, though, especially when Sandrine was like, I was talking about water. Alright. So I have to go back to the first scene I wrote yesterday. Now, I wrote yesterday's scene with the argument from Aleath's perspective, but I think today I'm going to write from Jaelin's perspective. Not that it matters, you guys shouldn't be able to read these microscopic words anyway. But so I'm going to write, just to have a tiny bit of writing shop talk before I start, I'm going to write from Jaelin's perspective, even though he's not the main character and not participating in the duel for several reasons. First, it will be easier for me to rate a contrast of the fighting styles between the characters who are fighting if I'm writing from a outside perspective. If I'm having someone watch the fight, I can be a little bit more detailed and a little bit more intricate with some of the information, because there's slightly less urgency of this is happening in the face. So it just gives me a little bit of a colder, broader perspective to highlight what it looks like when these 2 characters fight. I'm also doing it from Jaelin's perspective because something else is going to happen in this scene that will have more of a emotional impact on Jaelin as a character than it will on Aleath. And I think that choosing a character perspective to write from is it can be tricky, especially if you're writing from multiple perspectives and you have several different characters in one scene. It can be hard to choose. I always try to choose the character who is going to have the largest emotional impact out of the group. So whoever I think is going to have the most sort of sucker punch or internal feelings, like internal monologue about what's happening. And I do that because when you're writing from a character's perspective, it's much easier to connect with their feelings. It's much more immediate and intimate in a lot of ways. And so if you're writing an emotional revelation for a character and you're outside their head, you're only ever going to get part of the picture. You're only ever going to, like, facial expression can tell you a lot, words can tell you a lot, but when you're writing a novel, especially like when you're writing a story, the best way to illustrate an emotional impact, most of the time, not all of the time, sometimes you do want to show it from afar, but most of the time is to get right up in their face and have that information like right there unfolding for you. So even though it's going to make the duel slightly less urgent to watch it from a distance, I still feel like it's a good idea to write this scene from Jalen's perspective, because he is going to end up being even more impacted by what happens during these events than Aleith. So hopefully that made sense. That was a lot of me rambling. And now we're going to do a sprint. A sprinty spront. I don't know why I said that. Let me just take my sweater off because it's getting warm. I'm wearing a Jack Skellington shirt today. Well, an entire Nightmare Before Christmas shirt, but he's the best, really. Even though it's got Sally and Boogie on there too. All right. Let's see if I can do some words today. It almost feels weird to be writing at my computer because I started writing today at my kitchen table with my iPad. Fun times. All right. Where's my timer? Timer, 20 minutes. Let's do it. This is a cool thing. I actually took one entire sword fighting class, only one, with longswords, and I actually learned enough about that to feel confident for a change about writing a sword fight, so I'm actually really happy to be writing this right now. It's probably gonna need a lot of edits, because all my fights do, but I'm excited. Hey, Woof, I knew you'd be upset with the tiny text, but I gotta keep some secrets. There has to be a reason for you guys to buy this book. I know you will, Woof. I mean, you're gonna get to read this in beta before anyone else anyway. And also, it's a train wreck. I'm not sure it's worth being viewed right now. Also, how you doing, Woof? What you up to? Is your workday over? Are you done for the day? Haley Creates, hello! Thank you so much for the follow. How are you doing? What is up? What are you up to today, Haley? Did I have this character say a specific thing? Ooh, I'm just gonna write one more sentence. Alright. I'm gonna sneeze, possibly. I apologize in advance if it happens. Let us see. Ooh, I wrote 1,200 words that sprint. I'm pretty happy with that. Usually when I try to write action scenes, they're very halting and herky-jerky the first time I write them, and every word feels like it's pulling teeth. This one is a little vague. I'm gonna need to go in and clean it up a bit, but that always happens for me. I kind of try to write my action scenes in layers. So I just get some really generic back and forth in there the first time, try to sort of have a foundation, and then next time I'll go in, when I do edits, I'll go in and actually, like, put a little bit more specificity in, try to actually, like, make it clear that it's not just generic, you know, chop happening in the background, if that makes sense. So I'm really happy with that. Ooh, I went high-pitched there. I'm really happy with that. I think it's coming together well. Oh, sorry. It's been a day already. Chop chop. I feel like when I write my fighting scenes the first time, it's a lot of swords bouncing off swords and steel clanging against steel. And sometimes that works, like if something's happening in the background, like I do kind of take a step away from the fight at one point to do Jalen's like internal turmoil. But I don't want the whole fight to feel like that, so I do actually try to imagine fight choreography in my brain spaces. And the first time I try and write it down, it's usually pretty generic. But there's so much else going on in this scene at the moment that I think it's fine to fine-tune it in edits, because also once you get to editing a scene, usually you've already, because I've kind of talked about this before, how when you write a scene, there are so many things to think about. You have to think about your characters, you have to think about your goals, like what are your plot goals, what are your characters' goals, what are the challenges that they're going to face in this particular part of, you know, the story. Are they going to succeed and fail? And you also have to consider things like mood and atmosphere, and you have to set the scene for what it looks like. And so there's so many things that just go into putting a scene together like raw from the beginning that it's sometimes easier if you're able to oh, sorry. Why am I so yawny? What is happening? It's like I'm bouncing them back at myself. So you need to worry about so much the first time through that it's often easier when you come into edits and you're like, okay, I really took care of the atmosphere and the tone, but I didn't quite describe everything, like I didn't quite describe the setting enough. So it's easier to spend time on that because you've already done some of the other things. And I know that things that I tend to forget about during my first drafts are names. I tend to not name things a lot, so I end up naming a lot of things in my edits, first of all. And second of all, I tend to drop the ball on description a lot. I'm really good at emotional stuff. I'm really good at dialogue. I can capture expression fairly well in a first draft, but I usually forget to talk about what my characters look like or what the place that they're in looks like. So I do a lot of that on the way back through, and I usually leave myself notes like, make sure you describe this building, or, you know, make sure you expand this fight scene, or make sure you say what this person looks like, because sometimes I forget to do that. And I wrote a trilogy recently where I had to write reminders for myself that every time the characters appear in a new book, hey Catherine, how are you? What's up? I had to leave myself a note that every time the characters appear in a new book in the trilogy for the first time, that I should be re-describing them, right? Because for me, I go straight from writing one of those books to the other, and the figures are fresh in my head. But when a reader reads them, there's potentially going to be a couple months in between, or some people might read the first book and then read the second book a year later. So I'm trying to get into the habit of the first time you see a character in a new book that I remind the reader, like, oh, this is what this person looks like. And I don't do a lot of head-to-toe descriptions. I feel like you save those for when it really matters what a character is wearing. Like I really kind of only do the head to foot when I need to highlight, like, it's a special occasion, like a wedding dress. Hang on, let me blow my nose. Like if I'm doing a wedding dress description or something like that. But otherwise, I try to just make sure people have an idea of what the characters look like, and I try not to belabor it too much. Oh gosh, I didn't take any more cold medicine because I didn't think I needed it, but maybe I should. Maybe if my nose is gonna start being a pain in the buttock, maybe when I go on break. I am feeling much better than yesterday. Much less. I actually kind of didn't realize how grody I felt yesterday until I woke up this morning and I felt better. And I was like, oh yeah, I was probably a little bit more out of it than I really thought at the time. But maybe I do still need some decongestant. But anyway, yeah, so I kind of let my fight scenes... That was a really, really long-winded way of saying I let my fight scenes be a little bit garbage the first time I write them. Just because I know that I'm gonna do at least 2 more passes of this. I'm gonna do another pass before my beta readers see it. So I'm gonna go in and clean it up and make it a bit more specific or descriptive. And then after my beta readers look at it, I'm gonna take another crack at it. And it's really interesting to me because my beta readers are always like, I really like your fight scenes. They feel so dynamic. And I'm like, that's because you don't see what they look like the first time. Currently doing a character redesign. Ooh, that's nice. I was looking at her and kind of realizing she very much reads as white when she isn't meant to be, and I'm not trying to whitewash my own character. Oh, that can be so hard too. Because I always struggle with, like, what's the right amount because I was saying, like, the first time my characters reappear, I try to remind the reader, hey, this is what they look like. And I do sometimes look for, like, little areas where I can sort of highlight what a character looks like without being really obvious about it. But it can be really hard because, on the one hand, you want to remind a reader, hey, this character looks like this is what this character looks like. And on the other, you don't want to be, like, bashing your reader over the head with description every other paragraph. That's one of those things that can be really hard to balance, right? And I have read books where, like, every other sentence is reminding you that this person has blue eyes or is wearing a green shirt, and it's like, I don't necessarily need to know that every 5 seconds. But at the same time, I have a bad habit of, like, describing a character once and then forgetting to, like, mention what they look like again for, like, 100 pages, and that can be a problem too, because then the reader might have stopped reading for a while and come back and be like, who's this guy again? So yeah, good luck with your character redesign. I love just kind of scrolling through things like Pinterest and trying to get a sense of, like, because I don't necessarily copy designs exactly from Pinterest, obviously, because those are other people's designs, but I like to look at elements of a design and then say, ooh, I like this kind of concept, and I also like this kind of concept, because it can be hard, even as someone who does visualize my thoughts, it can sometimes be really hard to visualize a full concept without having seen, like, pieces of it. So I remember when we did the designs for this, that we looked a little bit at the Pinterest board that I made for this book. And this is basically just a bunch of things that I saw, and I was like, oh, I like this concept, and I like that concept. I like the idea of a character that's just a giant ball of fire. And so these aren't necessarily really any of my characters specifically, but just things that really inspired me to think about the setting in certain ways. And, like, this was one of the big inspirations for the Watchers being in, like, a floating fortress sort of thing. So I find it really helpful as, like, a visualization inspiration tool. This is a cool picture. What the heck? Dang. Hang on, let me pin that. I feel inspired. I don't necessarily know what I'm going to use that idea for, but I'm just going to save it in general writing inspiration, which is another thing. I just have whenever I start a new project, I have this just generic writing inspiration folder that I scroll through, and there's, like, a butt ton of pictures in here, and I just kind of look at it and I'm like, I like this concept and I like that concept. This was an attempt to decide what a character looked like, because I actually wrote a character in, like, a whole book, and then I was like, I never decided what he looked like. Things my brain does. And you can see that this was one of the things that I put in my Everyone's Child's concept board. This was one. So these were just things that I had sort of been inspired by at some point in the past. And sort of saved. I have that pinned many times, apparently. And I know that our friend, Bard Owl was also saying that she likes the Midjourney bot for the same reason, is, like, she can type in a little prompt and then it will spit something out at her, and it helps her, like, visualize her thoughts. Meeting time, Mindset Match, thank you for lurking. Super appreciate it. Hope to see you soon. Hope the meeting is quick. I'm trying to decide if I should make tea now or if I should do another sprint and then make tea. Your work week is over. Nice. Actually, my husband Ghost Pepper has tomorrow off as well. Because on Monday it is actually Thanksgiving here in Canada. Amersa, hello. Always make tea. Well, I have a little bit of iced tea left. So I'm wondering if I should do another sprint while like the scene is kind of in my head and then do the tea in between scenes. Because we should take a break soon. I've been streaming for about an hour. But yeah, it's Thanksgiving in Canada here on Monday, and my husband works at a private school. And one of the perks of that is that they usually take extra time off for the holidays. So he has off on Friday and on Monday. So he's actually going to be around tomorrow. Yeah, it's weird to say this, but it's kind of nice as a writer living in Canada because NaNoWriMo happens in November, and November is Thanksgiving for the US, and everyone always says the same, like, it's so hard to get your words in around Thanksgiving, and I'm like, not a problem, we don't have a major holiday in November here. I do 10-hour days, and when I get home, I do so much other stuff. Oh gosh, I mean, it's nice to have the 4-day week and the extra weekend, but that is so hard. I knew when I still did office work, I remember there were a couple of people who did that so they'd have more time with their kids, but I never knew how they could do it, because by the end of 8 hours, I'm so wiped. Makes me glad I only work 4 days a week, so I have more free time. Yeah. I don't actually know what Canadian Thanksgiving is like, because it doesn't have the same kind of story as like the American Thanksgiving, and they don't have Thanksgiving in the UK. We lived there for a year and it's just not a thing. I think based on, and I feel like I've asked Ghost this question before and he's always like, I don't know, it's just there. I think because of when it is situated in the calendar, I think it's basically just a harvest festival. Because back in the day before we did industrial farming and had, you know, bred plants so that they create more and more crop, this would have been around the time of the late harvest, like the last harvest of the year. So it kind of makes sense as a celebration of, you know, yay, we did all the farm work and the growing season is over. And that's, as far as I can tell, what Canadian Thanksgiving is. But I feel like every Canadian I've asked, I've been like, so why is Thanksgiving in October? And they're like, it just is. The story for the American one isn't even true. I mean, it's definitely very contrived. And also, I know for a fact that they put American Thanksgiving where they did in order to create Black Friday. Like, literally, if you look back through history of when it started being, like, the fourth Thursday or, like, the last Thursday or whatever, one of the reasons why they did that was to encourage people to start their Christmas shopping the next day, and that allowed a bunch of businesses to basically get a lot of sales and get out of the red and back into the black, which is why it's called Black Friday. Weird random things that I know. And Black Friday kind of props up a lot of retail industries. It's kind of crazy if you know anything about how economics works. It kind of feels like our entire civilization is propped up by popsicle sticks and toothpicks. But it is. So, maybe it's better that Canadians are just honestly like, whatever, it's a day and we do it. We eat food. This year I asked Ghost, because Ghost usually does like the turkey and the stuffing and like all of the really like hard work stuff. And I asked him if he wanted to do that this year because he did it last year. And he was like, I don't know. And then he came back like the next day and he was like, would you mind if I just ordered it from like a catering company? And I was like, no. Like, I seriously asked you because I didn't want you to cook all that stuff if you didn't want to, just for the two of us. All I know is the first Thanksgiving was a feast that colonists had after killing 300 native people. Yeah, we paint it as the story of, oh, the pioneers were suffering and the Indians showed up with food and it was like, yay. But it was actually more like, we were like, oh, the Americans were more like, oh, we're starving. And then they killed a bunch of native people and stole their food. Game of Tomes! Hello, hello! Thank you for the raid! That was probably a really weirdly out of context place to enter the stream. Shout out the Game of Tomes. This is the official Game of Tomes channel. Yeah, that's the official channel for Game of Tomes. Stuff doesn't always happen on there, but whenever there is a result stream or like an official event, it usually happens there. And I got the bot working, so you can do, I believe, the Game of Tomes command, and now you guys can go directly to the explanation of what Game of Tomes is. So if you guys are interested, if you're planning on doing NaNoWriMo, highly recommend hopping into the Game of Tomes game. There's a Discord. Everyone is very friendly. They've been super amazing and nice to me. And I haven't even been hanging out on Twitch, in the Twitch writing community, that long. And it's basically, I mean, you pick a house, you write for that house, you compete to win, but it's basically a game designed to help writers get their words in for NaNoWriMo. So if you're thinking about doing it and you worry that you won't feel motivated, I was just running tests for streams and lobbies I'll be doing for the Game of Tomes in November. Nice! Moon, thank you so much for rating me. I appreciate it. And I hope the tests went well. I'm super excited for November. My first tourney was in July. And I kind of had no idea how anything worked, and I still had a ton of fun. And now I've gotten to dig into a bit more of the lore and a bit more of like how the game actually works. And I'm super excited, especially because I'm going to be doing writing instead of editing in November. So I'm actually going to have a lot more words to contribute. There were only like 4 things to fix, so I was not expecting the stream to only last 20 minutes. Well, I hope that the fixing was smooth. I hate anything technological, so if it went smoothly, that's the best you can ask for. Tupper Hunter, hey! I want to be a strong writer like you. You're such a lovely streamer to listen to. All the love to your stream. Oh my gosh, Tupper Hunter, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, especially because this stream was originally supposed to happen in the morning, and then my power went out, and I was like, that's not gonna happen. I appreciate it, and honestly, any of you guys who like see me just go into like blank stare mode and just type a bunch of words during the prompts, the sprints, I promise you that if you practice, you'll be able to do that someday too. I know a lot of people are like, how do you do that? And there's no way I could ever do that. But I've been tracking my writing counts for, I think, something like 4 or 5 years. And if I go back and look at my first year that I was tracking my word counts, I did not have this high of word counts. I did not consistently write this much. And it took me way longer to write a smaller amount. I have such an awful disability, and it makes it seem like my writing is garbage. Oh, Tupper Hunter, everybody thinks that their writing is garbage. I'm sure that your writing is way better than you're giving yourself credit for. Please put it aside until you can see it with fresh eyes, because I'm sure it is not as bad as you think. And also, I mean, the important thing is to do what you can do. Like, don't trip over yourself and say, oh, you know, Starborn is writing this many words, I should be able to do that too. Even if you do practice a lot, like, you still might not write that much all the time, and that's okay too. Like, do what you can do. Every word is a win. If you sit down and write 10 words in your work in progress, you wrote 10 words, yo. That's 10 words that you didn't have before. And I know it's hard to think like that. Even I have days where I'm like, I only wrote 2,800 words. What the heck? But then I remind myself, like, I used to not be able to do that many words at a time. Can I send you what I wrote today? It's a blurb and only 3 sentences. Are you in our Discord, Tupper Hunter? You can definitely post it there. Or if you want, you can put it in the chat here, but if you put it in the Discord, more people will get to see it. So anyway, I promise you, if you make a writing habit, you'll be able to grow your speed and your consistency. It's all about habits, right? I've kind of trained myself to stop thinking, start writing, write for that time period. And you guys have seen me, like, not do that many words during a sprint, too. So I help run a freaking writing game, and I struggle to write more than 200 words a day. Oh no, but Moon, I know that everybody in the Game of Tomes community is super supportive, and it's awesome that you help run it, and that, you know, like 200 words a day is still 200 words a day. And look at it this way, Terry Pratchett used to write, I think it was like 5 pages, so I think, and that was typewritten, so something around 250 words a day, and he wrote whole novels that way. No worries, Tupper Hunter. I mean, you can definitely post it in the Discord even if it's a little bit longer. There's a seeking feedback section, and there's a writing chat section as well. But if you want to send it to me, that's fine. I just might not see it until after stream. It is a lot of work. Honestly, Moon, I don't know how you and Sable and some of the other coordinators sleep. Stop thinking, start writing. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to turn off your brain, but the more, like, and I have done some classes, and I've practiced a lot of different things. Honestly, the thing that works for me is I have a little bit of a ritual. So I have my white noise that I listen to, and I have specific white noise for each project, so it puts me in the mood for that project. I have, I basically, like, try to set up my workspace, turn on my white noise, turn on my timer, and then for that 20 minutes, I try not to think about the outside world, and I try just to think about my writing. Sometimes it works better than others, but the more you do it, the easier it is to sort of fall into that space. The answer is, unfortunately, we generally don't. I kind of worried that was the answer, Moon. Just know that I at least, and I know probably many other people, love you guys to bits for doing this for us and appreciate the hell out of it. But also take care of yourself when you need to, because, you know, we love this game, but I'd rather you guys were around and healthy and able to do it. Sable and I both have diagnosed clinical insomnia. Oh no! I have had insomnia for much of my life. I know how awful that is. But, you know, sleep when you can. I don't mind waiting till after stream. We all want you to be amazing and a role model to new writers. I mean, honestly, pretty much everyone in the Game of Tomes community was who convinced me to start writing on stream, because until I saw Moon and Sable and a lot of the other people who are on the Game of Tomes server, like, writing on stream, it never even occurred to me that was like a thing that I could do. I love writing, but starting gives me anxiety. Oh gosh. The first sentence is always the hardest. And I have this too. Sometimes what I actually do, Catherine, is I walk away from my computer and I plan my first sentence. Because what happens then is when I come down, when I sit down and start my timer, I already know the first couple words I'm gonna type, and then I've started. And once I've started, I'm fine. I'm in it. I'm doing it. But if I can't think of that first couple words, I panic and I freeze. And I've done it on stream too. I know I have. I've not, like, said it out loud, but I know I've turned on the timer and opened my document and been like, what was I even thinking about? And sometimes you guys will hear me say, let me figure out where I want to start. I do that because it's like a little bit of a mind hack, right? If you can sit down and instantly start typing because you've planned your first sentence, you're done. You're over that block. You're past the freezing moment. And again, it doesn't always work, but sometimes. Write the word bananas at the start of your document. Exactly. Or just write the first thing that pops into your head so that your fingers are moving. And then once your fingers are moving, you're doing it. I said I was gonna do another sprint, so let's do another sprint and then we'll do tea. We'll make tea. And I will make a flavorful tea today because I don't need mint tea. Hooray, hooray. Alright, let me, again, what I just said, let me finish. I have a bunch of options because I kind of have a lot of tea. But I have a tea that is lychee flavored, and I'm thinking about, I only have enough to brew 1 cup left, I think. But I'm thinking about doing that because it's a super relaxing tea, and it's a black tea, so it makes a really good, like, soothing tea. And yesterday I had a green tea, so I do have a tea that I keep in the house. It's actually Tazo's Zen tea. I drink that whenever I'm sick, like whenever I have a sore throat, and the reason is because it has spearmint in it. So it's really just gently minty, because I don't like a ton of mint. And it's really good for like opening your nasal passages, but also like soothing your throat. So whenever I'm sick, I put a scoop of honey into the Zen tea. I have a lot too, but I dislike strongly fruity. Oh, interesting. I tend to like my fruity teas to be iced for sure, because then I'm watering them down, right? I'm taking some of the sweetness out of it. I really like black tea, green tea, and anything that's like a chai spice blend. If it has like a bunch of strongly spicy flavors, I really love those kinds of teas. We always have chocolate chili chai in the house because it's my husband's favorite. Mint also has an effect on the stomach that can help with stomach aches. Interesting. I have a lot of gut problems, so I wonder if that... I think it's such a strong taste. If I drink something that has a really strong minty taste, it's all I can taste for like 2 hours. But I do usually, if my stomach is bothering me, I do usually drink either a ginger tea or a turmeric tea. Because both can be really good for health stuff. Oh my gosh. We're gonna end up talking about tea for like an hour. I love teas so much. It's like my thing. I think it's also that I just haven't actually written a story in years. I mean, Catherine, we're gonna start the timer here in a second, but I just want to say, like, don't put too much pressure on yourself. It doesn't matter if you wrote your last story yesterday or 10 years ago. If you have an idea in your brain that you want to write down, give yourself permission, first of all, to do it, to be qualified to do it, because it's your story in your head. You don't need any other qualifications. And also, give yourself permission to write bad stuff for a little while, because it takes practice. And even, like, if I let you guys read what I've been writing here on stream, it's kind of a massive train wreck. The Twitch website is down? Interesting. Like, the whole Twitch? Exactly, Catherine. It can be edited. So give yourself permission to be qualified. Give yourself permission to write garbage, because you'll fix it later. First drafts aren't meant to be final drafts. You have to have something to edit. Exactly. Absolutely. On that note, let me... What was I even thinking? I remember what I was thinking. All right, I'm gonna start the timer. I might get quiet for 20 minutes, but please feel free to keep talking. I can just head over quick to Twitch and see. It looks like it's working for me. But if it wasn't working for you, Barefoot Turtle, do you know how to clear your DNS cache? I know that's like maybe Greek, what I just said. But if you're able to do that, it might come back up for you. It could just be that the short version, it could be that your router lost track of Twitch, and if you refresh your DNS, it could come back for you. I didn't try tea until I was 17. I wasn't allowed because it was always compared. What? Really? Not all forms of tea actually even have caffeine in them. Herbal teas and fruity teas don't even have caffeine. And there's much, much less caffeine in most teas than in coffee. Having it at 17 was a rebellion. Well, I'm glad you rebelled. All right, words time. I just typed a sentence that I changed my mind about what the sentence was going to be 3 times in the process of typing it, in case you ever wonder if you're the only one. Coffee wasn't allowed either. Herbal tea was allowed technically, but there was a lot of... So was this a household thing, or was this was this someone in your household who thought that? I just closed the browser and it started working again. Interesting. I mean, I'm glad it's working for you, Barefoot Turtle. It sounds like it was just a little sort of hiccup. That happens sometimes. The internet is weird. Ah, okay. I didn't know that was a Mormon thing, but that kind of makes sense. I assume from the past tense that you have moved on from that part of your life. This is one of those times when typing a sentence didn't help me. Left that like 5 years ago. I have never been a Mormon, but I feel like I know just enough about the religion to understand why to understand why most people wouldn't want to be one. I've always found the Mormons that I've spoken to be nice enough. But I feel like once I've probed beneath the surface slightly of their religion, it's not necessarily as chill as they make it out to be. Thank you for the hydrate, Barefoot Turtle. I mean, I try not to judge people too much, but there are definitely certain religions that have certain practices that I have strong feelings about. And the Mormons are definitely one of them. Being nice is a facade to draw people in. It kind of felt like that to me too when I got beyond the like nice chatting part. Not that I was ever seriously thinking about joining the Mormon religion, but I think they thought I was, and then the facade kind of dropped and it was like, very uncomfortable. Because it's like, I would love to learn about the Mormon religion, but I definitely don't want to sign up to be one. Don't get me wrong, many people are genuinely kind, but there's always the judgment. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, my church was like that, and I was raised Methodist. The thing that kind of started my path out was seeing a massive shift in how people around were around me and being excluded from many things after they found out that I'm lesbian and had no intention to repent. Well, I'm just glad that you got away from people who are going to judge you for being honest about who you are, because it's so wrong to expect people to lie or change fundamental, not that you could change it to begin with, but to even like say that you should. You deserve to be loved for who you are fully and completely, and I hope that you are in a place now where you have that. Because everyone deserves that 120 million%. They only knew because my at the time girlfriend told them because she wanted to confess to her bishop. Oh no, that seriously sucks. I assume that she was either convinced about the whole it's a sin thing, or maybe she thought that they would accept you. I don't know. That's horrible. Just living under the pressure of being told that you should confess something like that, the sin thing. Yeah. I don't even believe in sin as a concept, honestly. But it's hard when you grow up with that your whole life. Like, I know so many people who were convinced, who were afraid, and were convinced to be afraid by that kind of argument. It sucks that we raise entire... like, several religions raise entire generations of kids to believe that things that you have no control over are sinful and wrong, and it just makes me want to scream. It's awful. Sad I'm gonna miss the tea, but we can nerd out about it another time. I'm gonna have the lychee one, Emersa. Take care. Thank you for the lurk. See you soon. But I believe religion is an extremely personal thing and that no one way is right. I also really don't think being gay, lesbian, or any other form of identity is wrong. And I agree, Moonflower. And this is why I honestly try not to condemn... I try not to condemn religions in general, and I definitely try not to condemn individuals for their beliefs, because I genuinely believe that we're all going to the same place. We're just taking different paths to get there. And I was raised Christian, and I'm pagan now, and I have a very live and let live philosophy. It's more the people who try to convince you that you're bad in some way because you don't follow their religious beliefs. Those are more the people that upset me. And I understand that, like, not every Mormon is that way, not every Christian is that way, like, and there are even some pagans who are total dicks about parts of our religion too. So, you know, exactly, as long as you're not using religion to harm others. And so that's why I've been trying to not be like, to not necessarily say bad things about the Mormon religion specifically, because I definitely don't think that everyone who follows Mormon belief is a bad person, or even that the religion itself is necessarily bad. Just the way that certain people practice it is flawed, if that makes sense. And I mean, I had a really bad experience with my church being raised Methodist, and it has taken some time to not necessarily apply that experience, like my bad experience with a small group of Christians, to every Christian, right? Like, because I had a bad experience and it biased me for a while, and I had to push beyond that and realize that it was a few select individuals in my childhood that made me feel that way, not every person who follows those beliefs, if that makes sense. Squanchy, hello. Okay, I'm almost done with this scene. I realized that I forgot something, and I was like, I can add it later, but then I just went back and added it because it felt really inadequate, so I didn't quite get this finished. I don't even remember where I started the sprint. Wait, yes I do. It was here. Oh my goodness. So I only got 782 words done that sprint. I was real struggling there at the beginning, but the scene is almost done. We're at just shy 2,000 words for the scene. So I'm going to go make tea, and then I will finish this scene and start the next scene in the next sprint. Let me catch up on chat, because I know we're having a big conversation. I'm technically pantheistic pagan, but I follow a lot of Mormon teachings, and I was raised Mormon. I get along well with people like writer Greg, who is an active Mormon, because although he feels that he shouldn't talk about stuff that could go into current events on stream, he's a really good guy. I get really uncomfortable when current event stuff is talked about, though it's overwhelming to me, so I understand where he's coming from. No, I filter all of my news through my husband, because if I pay too much attention to current events, I will go crazy and not be able to function. So I definitely understand that. I definitely tried to not get too wrapped up in everything, because it can be, like you said, overwhelming. And I mean, normally I don't necessarily talk about this kind of stuff on stream either, but I definitely, like I said, I have a very big live and let live. Like, I don't want to say that any one set of beliefs is right or wrong, or condemn any set group of people for having certain beliefs. I wish more people had that philosophy of, this is my belief, this is my personal thing, I'm not going to impose it on others. I think it's that trying to spread the religion and try to convert people, that is more what I have an issue with. Nothing means anything, be nice to each other while you're alive. Honestly, Squanchy, I have a character that I write a lot who feels the same way, and he doesn't believe in an afterlife either. He just thinks you die and you're gone, which is terrifying to me, but some people believe that. It's, you know, it's a personal thing. Bad beans have a way of getting their way into positions of power, but that's how it is everywhere. You're absolutely right. It's not just a religion thing. It's a government thing. I have even had people that I thought were really good friends end up turning out that they didn't care about me and treated me like crap and made me feel really awful for a long time after. And it is a sad reality that there are bad beans and that you're gonna encounter them, and I don't even really have any advice for dealing with that aside from try and find the good beans. Try to hang out with the good beans and hold close to the good beans and spread the good bean love, because whether we like it or not, we're all in this world together, and you know, we can either make it more difficult for each other, or we can make it easier for each other. And I personally try to make it easier for all of the other beans that I meet. Bean love, exactly. Exactly. I'm gonna go throw on the kettle quick because I have to run some ads in hopes that you guys aren't getting like tons of ads. So you might see ads for a couple seconds while I'm away. I'm just gonna throw the kettle on. Kettle me this, Batman. Hey, Peter, how are you? I'm just gonna throw the kettle on. I'll be back while it's steeping. And then after we have some tea, we will do another sprint and see if we can. I felt like I was doing really well keeping up with the writing at the beginning of the stream, and now I feel like I'm behind. Because, you know, if you're not completely panicking, what's the point, right? Good morning, Peter. I hope you're doing well. I hope you slept well. I hope you're feeling good. I'm feeling much better than yesterday. Bet me this, Kettleman. Hold those thoughts, or just type them in chat and I'll answer when I get back. I shall be back. Gonna go to the store, be back after a while. Good luck. Thank you so much for the alert, Catherine. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon. Okay, I'm gonna have to go grab the tea in a minute. But I am back. I thought I was getting sick, and maybe I am, but I wasn't too bad today. You know what? I felt like garbage yesterday, and I feel way, way better today. So, I don't know. Either, honestly, looking back, I think maybe I was low-key sick at the beginning of the week, and it just kind of caught up to me because I didn't sleep well on Tuesday night. But whatever... Whatever gunk I got, I at least think I'm past the worst of it, so I'll take it. I will take it. I need to check something in my outline. Fox, hello! How are you? What is up? I need to see, because I think I'm going to change something about my outline, about my plan. Okay, no, I think I'm not changing too much. I think what I want to do will work. There's a plan. Making more pumpkins. Nice! Watching more anime because I have zero self-control. I feel you. I am making tea, and then we're going to do another sprint to see if I can finish this here scene and start another one. I think it's going to be a new chapter, yes. I'm doing pretty good. Yesterday I was feeling pretty grody, but today I took NyQuil last night. I passed out for 6 hours and I woke up feeling decent. We were gonna do this stream in the morning, but my power was out. So if anyone's like, wait, I thought she said she was doing a morning stream. It didn't happen. I also, thanks to Woof's help, I was able to actually call the power company this morning and be like, do you know what's happening? Because I don't even have data on my phone. I can't even look. And they were like, nope, it's a weird shaped one and we're trying to find it. And I was like, great. I was very tempted to walk to Starbucks and get coffee because I hadn't had coffee yet. But then I was like, it's a half an hour to get there and get back. And I'm not going to stay in case my power came back on. So I just kind of waited it out. Yeah, she said that, so she explained that they didn't know where it was because of the shape of the outage. It was only affecting, I guess, 114 households, so it was very small. But I guess they determine where to go to fix it based on who's affected. And because of the weird shape, as she put it, that was how she put it, she was like, they might have to look around and find it. No, it took about 2 hours. She said, basically when I called, it had been about an hour, and I was trying to decide whether or not to leave the house. And she was like, it'll probably be another hour. And it was like literally 45 minutes after I got off the phone with her that it came back. If I had gotten really lucky, it would have come back in like 3 seconds, but that didn't happen. Although I guess I did get lucky in the sense that it wasn't a 10-hour power outage. I'm here now. It was a localized main line or perhaps 2 lines. Yeah, something like that. I guess they attributed it to equipment failure. I don't know if someone like hit something or like why it was so localized. But luckily they did find it after the first like hour, and it only took them about 40 minutes to fix it. So it wasn't like maintenance or something like that. A crispy squirrel? It could have been. It could have been. My theory is always that someone, because when I lived in Maryland, every time it snowed, someone would freaking run into a electric post and we'd lose power. So my go-to is always someone hit something with a car, but it could have been anything really. It gets pretty windy here sometimes too, so it could have been a tree branch. It could have been just about anything. I'm just glad that they could fix it. We've done the 10-hour power outage too, and it sucks. And I'm glad it wasn't that, because we just did grocery shopping at the beginning of the week, and we would have lost so much food. When it was very, very small in the Highlands, we didn't even have power. We had a generator out back, so we had maybe a couple hours of electricity when we needed washing done. I know Flutter grew up in a house that didn't have I don't remember if it was electricity or running water, but she's familiar. She's familiar with that. I've lived in the country, so for me, it's always a squirrel or a branch. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it totally could have been. Like, it could have been a tree branch fell. It's that time of year, right? We're in the seasonal switch between summer and fall. So it could have been something like that. I'm gonna go grab my tea quick, because it is surely done. So I'm just gonna be AFK for a moment. Let me put up, let me put up a cute little me to sit in front of my chair, and I'll be right back. I've got tea. I have to turn me off to show you guys under the camera. I was like, can I show it? But I was in the way. Look at that. Delicious. Hey, Exiled Fae, how are you? Delicious tea. Ghost has a rugby game tonight with the school children, so if I run a little over on stream, it'll be okay, but still. Yummy. Okay. My white noise stopped working. No! No, why? Why? Why does this keep happening? We'll do another sprint as soon as I get my white noise working again. Hey, Total Sapphic Panic. Haven't been around since July? Been sewing and spray painting. That sounds awesome. I recently started, I used to do cross stitch a ton. I sort of fell out of doing it over the pandemic, and I recently started doing it again, and it's been super relaxing. hopping in and out, having a needed quiet evening. No worries. Like I said, I don't know if you were around when I said it earlier, but I was supposed to do the stream in the morning, and it didn't happen because power outage. So I figured afternoon stream is better than no stream. Hopefully I will be around tomorrow morning. If the power stays on. I'll do an actual morning stream tomorrow morning. Sorry, I don't mean to seem distracted. I'm just trying to get my white noise stopped working, and I'm just trying to get it to work again. It doesn't like me today. It's just, I have two different sounds that I blend for this project, and one of them just hates me, I guess? Because it doesn't want to actually load. My brain is doing the big think. I don't particularly have a single refined idea yet, but the inspiration is there. Well, I'm glad to hear the inspiration is coming to you. Hopefully that means it's going to reveal itself to you soon. The idea. Oh, there it goes. It's loading. It's loading. Don't breathe. What? It stopped loading. What is happening? Oh no. Why? Okay, okay. Okay. Whew, okay. We did it, chat. We did it. No. Why does it keep reloading? We didn't do it. We almost did it. Something wonky with my... I only barely understand how my iPad works. So if you guys are ever like, what the hell is she doing and why is she so incompetent with this particular piece of technology? This is the only Apple product I own, and if it doesn't do what I expect it to do, I don't really know what to do about that. So I apologize. I apologize for not understanding this technology and yet insisting on using it. Please forgive me. And for any Apple users who are like, it's easy. I specifically and especially apologize to you because I'm an Apple dummy. And I just don't know how Apple stuff works. Oh my goodness. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? I guess if I can't get it to work, I will just try to soldier on. I don't know if I'll be able to zone as much without my white noise, but we'll give it a try. I just don't understand why it keeps reloading. Maybe I just need to... Okay, maybe I just need to close Chrome and reopen Chrome. I don't understand. I guess this is the other shoe of what I was talking about earlier, where it was like, create like a thing that puts you in the mindset to work on your project, and then if you can't get that thing to work, it's harder to get into the mindset of your project, and you end up doing what I just did, spending like 5 minutes trying to make a stupid sound play. I think it's actually working for real this time. Knock on wood. Don't jinx it. All right, chat. Shall we do another spront? Let's see what we can get done in 20 minutes. What did I just do? I still can't, I know I've said this also like 5 times, but I still can't get over the fact that they changed like the entire overlay interface for OBS, and nothing is in exactly the same place as it used to be, and it still throws me off. Like, if you guys wonder why it takes me so long to like hit any of the buttons, it's because they've made everything bigger, and I just feel like I spend a lot more time scrolling than I used to, and I can't seem to change this. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people appreciate it being bigger. It just throws me off. Ermagerd Sprint. Exactly, Peter. Whoops. Feel like I spent so much time trying to get that white noise to work, and now my brain is trying to type words like at the same time. So instead of saying unless she possessed, I typed unless, which doesn't help anyone. So now my brain is going too fast for my fingies. Comf, hello! How's work going? Enjoy your lurk. Talk if you want to. I can't resist asking how it's going, even if people are lurking. Glad to hear it. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Well, work day. I mean, whole day, but you know, I should stop talking. Is someone's car alarm going off? Yes, someone's car alarm is going off. I hope you guys can't hear that. Welcome back, Sapphic. We're just doing a spront. And also, apparently, someone's car alarm is going off. I'm glad you guys can't hear it because it's quite loud in my office, but it's also quite high-pitched, so hopefully that means that my mic just isn't picking it up. Good luck focusing, Comf. That's always the challenge. I didn't hear anything and I can hear that shit. If it's there, I am relieved. I always worry because we have the windows open right now, so anytime there's a loud sound in the background, I'm like, oh no, I hope that's not, because it's supposed to be a chill vibe stream, not a car alarm stream. Okay, that scene is finished. I'm probably gonna have to change the ending, but that's fine. That was 2,360 words total, and now I'm gonna spend the last 10 minutes of this sprint on starting the next chapter, which we're hopefully gonna finish today. What is happening in my neighborhood? I'm info dumping again, and I'm just gonna be cognizant of it, and I'm just gonna fix it later. Hey, Ghosty Gale. I see a Yoshi in the background. I have not watched the new trailer, but I am a big fan of Yoshi. I've always wanted to get more colors, too. I only have the green boy for now, but I think it would be cool to have a bunch of different colors. How are you, Ghosty Gale? How you doing? Yoshi was always my favorite when I was young and played Mario. Yes, I love the Yoshi's Island that was back on the original Super Nintendo where Mario was a baby and you had to like take the baby Mario to the baby Luigi, and that was my favorite game because you got to play as all the Yoshis. And now I've revealed how old I am. Finally finished my outline and I'm tentatively starting my nano project. Nice! That's awesome! I'm so glad to hear that. About 1,500 words in. Nice! That's awesome. Did you start today? It's going pretty well. I've been back and forth with how I feel about this one, but I do think I finally figured out how to, like, make it good in the edits. I just gotta finish writing it first. I think it was earlier this week I was working on it, and I took a total, like, left turn from the outline. But now I think I've got everything nudged in the right direction. I started a few nights ago, haven't written at all today, was working on a script. Ah, interesting. Haven't written for Nano. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. I'm like that too. I have different projects I work on different days. Sentence there. That is the sprint. So for the new scene, we're about 533 words in, which is good. That's exactly where I wanted to be. So for that sprint, I believe I started there. 913 words total, pretty decent. And that brings us up to 2,895 for stream. Pretty good. I don't know how long the scene is going to be. I'm hoping that 1,000 words or just a little over 1,000 words will bring me to the end, because this is another transition scene. I'm not going to say as much about the plot as I have been for this book. Up until now, I've pretty much talked about all of the plot and all of my thoughts about the plot. But I'm kind of keeping the last 25% a secret because hopefully that will make it more exciting to read when it's finally finished and published. But I will say that this is a transition scene. I've basically finished off the 75% confrontation for these characters. I don't necessarily try to always have confrontations at 25, 50, 75, and then the climax. But it does help to break down the plot into quarters so that you know if you're hitting all your beats. So I'm basically moving from that and I'm positioning my characters for the climax. So I have one last set of travel, which I'm hoping to resolve with this scene, because the rest of the book is pretty much going to take place at one location. And I'm basically just trying to get my characters to that location while also dealing with some of the things that have kind of cropped up for them to deal with since the midpoint of the book. Which is why I said I'm info dumping. I have a bad habit when I write transition scenes of just writing a crap ton of information. And then I break it up later. I go back in and I make sure that the thoughts are like interspersed with action and that I'm not like just throwing too much at the reader at once. So I'm aware that my travel scenes tend to need more edits than other things. And I know I said that about the first scene in this too because it's a fight scene. But it's okay because it's a first draft and it can be a total dumpster fire and I can still fix it. I have a lot of traveling back and forth in my story. I need to figure out how to make it interesting, but it's a relatively small geographic area. It's always a challenge. It's so interesting too because like if you read The Lord of the Rings and if you actually read the books as opposed to the movies, like the books are much more, I guess I should say much, I don't want to say relaxed because they're not exactly relaxed, but they're not exactly urgent either. Like in The Lord of the Rings, there's a lot of walking. There's a lot of travel. And they get to Lothlorien to speak with Galadriel. And they stay there for like a month. Like, it's not like in the movie where they show up and they're like, we gotta do the thing. Time is running out. We gotta get on the road. They literally just hang out there for a month. And it's just super chill, and they're like, we'll get to that when we get to that sort of thing. And it's not like a long interlude in the book or anything, but there's a passage of time conveyance. There's a lack of urgency. Me too. I would totally never want to leave Lothlorien. But it's interesting because when you talk about pacing in a book, it's not like a decision that I think modern books would make about pacing. And so it's part of this big epic, but you have to kind of look at it as the whole versus the individual pieces. You think Second Breakfast doesn't take time to prepare? I know, right? That's why Aragorn didn't let them have Second Breakfast. He was in a hurry. But yeah, but the thing is, there's a lot of walking in Lord of the Rings. And even like, when they go to Rohan, and I can't think of the name of the place, but at the end of the second movie, where they go and they have that big fight in like the keep, and it's this huge thing, and Gandalf is like, look for me at dawn on the third day, and all that like huge setup. None of that is in the book. It's like a 3-paragraph, they come on a fight already in progress, they help out the Riders of Rohan, and then the Riders of Rohan are like, hey, we'll help you with a thing. They totally like turned that into a big battle for the movies, which it's amazing. I'm not like crapping on it. It's great. But they totally basically took seeds from the books and turned them into more exciting, more tension-inducing, more urgent kind of things than they were in the books. But at the same time, the Lord of the Rings books are amazing. So somehow Tolkien, like, made walking around interesting enough for people to read those books forever. Off topic, but have you ever written a story with dual perspectives? Yes, I actually have multiple perspectives in all of my books. I've never done a single perspective novel myself, because I usually have more than one main character, so I usually have at least two perspectives. I have quite a lot of perspective characters in my Aravalia Chronicles. So I was saying earlier, one thing to do is when you're trying to decide who, if you have two different perspectives and both characters are in the same scene, if you're trying to decide which perspective to write from, try to choose the perspective that is going to have the most impact. So like if one character is going to get like a major emotional bomb dropped on them in that scene, write that scene from their perspective because it's going to hit harder. Versus like, I usually don't use a pattern. Some people use a pattern, like they switch off. I usually choose based on who it feels like is going to have the most investment in those particular events, or who is going to end up experiencing something that will be most interesting to the reader, if that makes sense. So that's one of my tips. Another one is try to, I've got it mostly figured out from my Save the Cat outline, but that's a good thing to keep in mind, especially for climax. Exactly. Another thing is, and this I recommend doing even if you don't have dual perspectives, try to trace the character arc for each character individually. So every major character in, I forgot I have that cat emote, lol. Every major character in your book, like even supporting characters to some extent, should basically have a story arc whereby they get character development. So you have your main plot outline, which follows, you know, the graph. And then you might have individual character storylines that don't line up exactly with the graph. And might, like, one character might have their climax earlier than another or whatever. That sounds really dirty out of context. Trace those lines individually so that you make sure that each character is getting a satisfactory story arc. You should basically be able to, and you may have already done this with your Save the Cat outline, make sure that each character feels like they have a desire, they face challenges trying to get that desire, and have something that changes them at some point along the way. Make sure that you can basically trace that thread. If you can't trace that thread for one of your characters, especially for one of your perspective characters, you may have missed a beat. And it's easy to do because when you're looking at the overall plot is going to have certain beats, but your character beats might fall in a different spot. So it's a good idea to just spend some time with each of your characters and make sure that they have that sensation, that feeling of completion, and how it like intersects with your plot graph. Because I have done that a lot. I've had characters that kind of drop off the radar. One of them reverses their prejudice against magic users, and the other explores what it means to be human. See, you got it. Those are the two main things that I usually keep in mind. I have more than two character perspectives, so I also try to make sure, like, if you ever decide to add another character perspective, one way that I decide on who gets to be added as a perspective character is if I'm going to be able to do at least 2 scenes with them, and they're going to be able to add insight that my other characters can't. That way I don't have, like, every character as a perspective character. I'm only trying to choose specifically meaningful characters for point of view, but if you've decided on 2, then you won't have to worry about that. Yeah, no worries. I mean, that's what I'm here for. And it sounds like you've got a really good handle on it already, so you should be fine. My only other thing I would say is, this is going to be for editing, but if you've written a scene and you don't feel like it's hitting the way you want it to, don't be afraid to rewrite it from the other character's perspective. Sometimes and even I sometimes write the scene both ways and then pick which one I like better. Because sometimes you think, oh, this character is going to be the right one to tell this part of the story, but then you kind of realize if you look at it from the other character's perspective, maybe they actually have something more to bring to the table. So don't be afraid to change a character, like the character perspective, and just see if it works better. I do that all the time, and you don't even necessarily, sometimes you don't have to rewrite the whole scene. Like sometimes you can basically strategically change it. You just want to make sure that it is changed enough that people can't tell that it was changed. I've had that happen a few times where my changing perspective was naked. But that's more of an editing thing. Like if you just find a scene that you're like, I'm not entirely sure. And you don't have to use the new way if it doesn't work better, but sometimes it can be massively helpful. You don't want it to get overly confusing. That's what I didn't like about Court of Frost and Starlight. I haven't read that. I think it's on my to-read list. But yeah, I know that, and I try, because I end up having long series with large casts of characters, and so there's always this temptation to add another character to character perspective, and I just added 3 new characters to the perspective list for the Aravalia Chronicles because it's a generational story, and the second generation is coming of age, and they're gonna start getting stories that their parents aren't involved in. So I debated really hard when that should happen and how that should happen, because I already have a long list of perspective characters for that series. I don't want to be overburdening. But when I reflected on it, I was like, they do have to have their own individual stories. And I am setting up, like my outline sets up individual plots for each of them. So I'm introducing them at this point as perspective characters because I don't want it to be too abrupt when they need to be the perspective character. But dang, like, I had a lot of, should I do this? Is it too much? Is it too soon? It can be really hard to make those decisions. I know too, I've read some, I've appreciated this. I've read some like fantasy novels and sci-fi novels that have lists of who the characters are at the beginning of the book, so that if you get confused, you can be like, who the heck is this person? Oh, it's that. I think I'm gonna take a quick bio break. I don't know if we're gonna do just one more sprint or 2. It's gonna depend on how far I get on this and how much information there actually is to convey. Right now, I know where I want this scene to end, but I kind of don't know how I'm gonna get there, so I expect this to be very meandering. But I think this will be my last break for stream, so I'm gonna take a quick bio break and just run a couple ads, and we'll be back to do more. If you've ever read a book with Russian characters, be ready to be confused. Everyone has 5 nicknames. Oh no! I did read, I think, one book that was based on Russian mythology, but it wasn't, like, it was written by an American author, so it didn't have that many nicknames, but I can only imagine. That's the thing too, like, trying to keep track of who calls each person. So here's another, just because we're talking about dual perspectives, here's another little hack that you can do for deep perspective. Make sure you know how each of your characters refers to each of your other characters. If one of your characters does have a nickname, figure out which characters call them by which name. So I have a character in Aravalia Chronicles whose name is Gregory Barrow. His real name, his full name is Gregory. But there are only a very few characters who call him Gregory. He goes by Greg. He even thinks of himself as Greg most of the time. So when I am writing from another character's perspective, when I'm writing from the Queen's perspective, she thinks of him as Gregory because she's very formal and she doesn't call him by the nickname. But his colleagues all call him Greg. So they think of him as Greg instead of Gregory. And it's the same, it's kind of the same for Domarin. Most people don't know that Domarin is not his full name. That's the name that he tells everybody. That's the name that he goes by. It's the name that's on all his IDs. But when we first see his father on camera, his father calls him by a different name because it's not, Dameron is a shortened version of his name. And he really viscerally reacts to it because he hates being called by his full name. So just a thing to keep in mind, that one character might refer to a character in a different way, and if they do, you should carry that through into their perspective, into their thoughts, because you're technically in their mind. So if they think of a character as, if they think of Gregory as Greg, then they would refer to him as Greg in their thoughts. And if they think of him as Gregory, then they would think of him as Gregory in their thoughts. It's a simple little thing, but it goes a long way towards deepening your perspective. Exactly. Everybody gets a nickname. Okay, break, and then we will do next sprint. Okay, sorry, that was a little longer than anticipated. I had a technical difficulty. But I wasn't able to fix it, so don't fully fix it after the stream. Oh no! The timer started without me. Oh my goodness. Oh no, did this seriously stop working again? Why? It's such a gauntlet today. My goal for tonight is 800 words. I'm ready for the sprint. Nice! We will start as soon as I once again fix my white noise. I just don't... Did I fix it? Hang on. Was it that easy? My goodness. I only have this problem with, so I use this website called My Noise, which is amazing, and I need to drop them another donation because it's amazing. So if you go to mynoise.net, that's the white noise site that I use, and they let you, if you're a donator, you can mix 2 different generators and then bookmark them, which I've done. And when I load them on my computer, they're fine. But I can't, during streams, I can't load them on my computer because I don't have permission from the creator to stream the white noise, and I haven't figured out how to have audio on my desktop that doesn't play on the stream. I saw that our friend Squanchy, who's been lurking, has posted a little thing about how to do it with games, and I want to see if that works with apps as well. Like if I can basically have my Chrome play something that's just for me and doesn't play on stream. Because when I load the same bookmarks on my iPad, they seem to be really temperamental and they don't consistently load or consistently play. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's something about how the browser works differently on my iPad, or if, again, I'm just an Apple dummy and don't know what I'm doing. So if you guys are wondering, like, why I keep screwing around with my white noise so much when I'm on stream, that's why. And I've tried several methods of, like, loading it ahead of time, but if my iPad turns off when I walk away from my computer, which it did, then it like, refreshes the page and turns it off. And I'm like, no. So there you go. That's what's been happening. But we got freshly hot tea. We've got an endpoint in mind for this scene. Let's do it. Let's see what we can get done in 20 minutes. All right, here we go. First chapter finished. Nice! Perfect! That's awesome. Hey, Vinyl, how are you? I am feeling much better today. I actually never did take a second round of... I was going to take a cold medicine on break, but by the time I went on break, I didn't even feel like I needed it. So I definitely, like, slept it out of me last night. How are you and Collie doing? I almost said, how are you and Vinyl doing? But you are Vinyl. How are you and you doing? Got to chill today? Nice! That's awesome! So I take it you didn't have any dress appointments? Collie is recovering slowly. I saw he posted on the Discord. He seems to get slammed so hard with sickness. I feel bad for him. I really hope this is the last time he gets... Because it sounds like he had it and then he had it again. No dress appointments. Nice! I get to take Wednesday and Thursday off each week unless something crazy happens. That's awesome! I'm glad you get, like, a dedicated weekend, even if it's in the middle of the week. Google Docs is telling me axe is wrong? What? What is it telling you it's supposed to be? What does it think it is? What? Is that how it's spelled in the UK? That sounds so weird. So weird. Why is it the spelling axe is used more frequently in American public? What? Really? I reject that reality. I've never seen it as just AX. He really gets hit hard with the sickness. I wonder because my mom worked at daycares and preschools all my life that I built up immunity. Maybe. It's possible. But also, like, I got affected way less by the sickness that Ghost brought home. Like, I seem to have rushed through it compared to what he had, so who knows? Like, it could just be the way his immune system responds. And it is a petri dish in schools. This is his 4th or 5th year at the preschool, but it just hits him so hard in the first month or two. Yeah. No, I feel you. It was, I was saying this yesterday, like it was so nice when Ghost School still had the mask mandate because he wasn't bringing the germs home, and I've been sick twice since they got rid of the mask mandate because it is a petri dish. Like, especially with the younger kids. The younger they are, the less they understand how to not spread the germs. Man, when I was doing babysitting, I got an infection that is only for kids. Oh no! I mean, that happened to my mother-in-law too. She got pink eye, and then Ghost was like razzing her, and he was like, "That's a disease for like 5-year-olds," which I guess isn't necessarily true, but he was giving her some sass. Is it silly that I feel kilometers is more fantasy than miles? Not necessarily. I went to the doctor and they said they had never seen an adult with hand, foot, and mouth. Oh no! Ghosty Gale, you called it. I told them what it was since they knew one of the kids I was watching had it, but was told adults couldn't get it. Oh no! One time in a diversity, inclusion, and equality training, we were supposed to make assumptions about the organizer and encourage encouraged to be as stereotypical as possible, and I guessed that he'd gone to speech therapy as a child, and I was right. Oh wow! You didn't have a noticeable speech impediment. I just picked up the vibes as a fellow speech therapy kid. Oh, that makes sense. Like, if you've been through the experience, you're more likely to know. I'm adding it to my list of times I've guessed random things. I mean, it's probably more accurate to say that most adults don't get it because they don't experience the circumstances that cause it. But it makes sense that an adult would be able to get it if the circumstances were right. Like, because I doubt that most things don't necessarily affect adult biology. If they affect child biology, they might just affect it differently. I'm not a doctor, though, so take that with a grain of salt. Citation needed. Scroll back up and make sure. I always feel like I'm repeating conversations and I can't remember if it's just because I thought about something before or if I actually wrote it down. Most adults' immune systems will take care of it before anything, but if your immune system has a glitch or if it's compromised, that can happen. Yeah, I'm immunocompromised, so I 100% understand. No more germ gremlins. I have nothing but respect for people who work with kids because I just don't have the patience. I love kids. Kids are great, but I could not work with them every day and still be sane. Also, I have a ginormous personal bubble, and kids don't really understand personal bubbles. Alright, didn't quite get done with this scene, but I do think that I'm within finishing range. I'm basically going to introduce the next stop on the journey and the problem, the fact that there's a problem, and end on my cliffhanger. So I probably only have a couple hundred more words left. I might do a half sprint. I have a 10-minute timer, which used to be my break timer. I don't really use it anymore. I might run that and see if I can finish this in 10 minutes, but let's see how much I did during this sprint. I definitely have struggled a bit more with this scene because I didn't entirely know what to do with it, but I think I'm getting there. I think it was the part where they stepped into sunlight. Yes. So 933 words that sprint. Not bad. That puts us at 1,466 for this scene. And I think we should be close to 4,000 for the stream. 3,830. Perfect. I think I probably have about 500 or 600 more words to do in this scene, and then it'll be done. Fingers crossed. Because if I make it too much longer than that, it's going to be under way too much. One reason I don't plan on having kids, I have nieces and nephews. I know Vinyl feels the same way. She also has nieces and nephews, and I think she likes the freedom of being able to send them home at the end of the day. I used to run a marker space for kids 1 to 8 and taught them how to use power tools. Oh, interesting. Patience was my middle name. Yeah, I do not have that. Like, I am in awe of you because I definitely do not have that level of patience. I do want children, though, so I guess I'm gonna have to learn patience. Trying to find my dual perspectives, unique voices, and I'm beginning to realize my main MC is a bit of a poetic worrywart. I understand the feeling. Be assured that by the time you finish the first draft, you'll have those voice nuances and you can go back and edit them into the first few chapters. The first few chapters are always the hardest because a lot of characters don't give you that nuance right away. But I love it when I discover like a character with a voice that's like so different than mine. I almost said kids. I have some characters that are super smart and writing them taxes my brain. And Aleath, one of the characters in this story, is like, I don't want to say she's a drama queen, but she's a little like over the top in like anytime she's offended by something, she goes a little bit over the top, which makes her kind of fun to write because she's just instantly like, how can they do this to me? And I'm like, yes, give me the drama. 621 of 800. Nice, you're almost there. Kids are actually kind of an iffy topic for you, Catherine. Like I said, I like kids. I just don't necessarily know that I'm good with them. When I get married, it would be something I'm more open to if I had the means to care for one or two, but my wife can carry if it is an adoption. That makes sense. I can understand not wanting to do the pregnancy thing. It is a lot. It does change your body. More so, I think it's interesting because growing up, no one ever talked to me about how much pregnancy changes your body. But I have friends now who have had kids, and they're very open with, like, this is what happens when you have a child. And, like, some of those changes don't necessarily go back afterwards. And I feel like we should talk about that more. Like, younger women should be allowed to be more aware of, like, what happens when... Because you should know. Like, you shouldn't be going to the doctor when you're pregnant and suddenly that's when you find out all the changes your body is going to go through. Like, it's so bizarre to me that pregnancy was presented to me in my teens in a certain way, and then as an adult, I've learned so much more about what it actually is. Pregnancy can be very scary. I know someone that got gestational diabetes. Oh no! Yeah, I know people who have had some some, I shouldn't say complications, because I most of the people I know have had like fairly okay pregnancies, but I know that there is a lot of stuff. And I have Graves' disease, which is I have an overactive thyroid. And I've already been told that when I get pregnant, I'm going to have to keep more careful track of it, because being pregnant might affect the way my thyroid is acting, and they have to be more careful of, they can't put me on certain thyroid medications because it would make it impossible for me to have kids, essentially. I love working with kids, but I dream of a life of travel and independence. Nice! Yeah, I can see that. Man, sometimes I love the idea of like those tiny houses, because it would be so cool to just be able to take your house all over the place. I could get on that bandwagon. All right, it is 10 to 6, and I am expecting a text from my husband soon letting me know that he is on his way home. So let's do a 10-minute sprint and see if I can wrap this up, and then we'll do a raid. Even if it could be guaranteed that I had the smoothest pregnancy possible, I wouldn't want to do it. I mean, that's fair. And I honestly think it's each individual woman's choice to make that decision. And that, like, first of all, we should give everyone the information so they can make an informed decision. And we should not judge people for making that decision, because we are each individuals and don't know everyone else's reasons for the choices they make. All right, break timer instead of writing timer. 10 minutes, let's go. I didn't plan my first sentence. It's all going wrong. All right, I have finished. I'm gonna let the sprint finish up. Where did... I think I started there. So yeah, 442 words in that last 10 minutes. Perfect, perfect. Which brings our second scene to 1,908 words. And our total for the whole stream should be just over 4,000. 4,272. I'm really happy with that. 934. Ghosty Gale, you went over your goal. That's awesome. I'm so happy. Oh gosh, that stretch feels nice. I'm so happy. Let's see who is... I'm going to wrap up the stream pretty quickly because, like I said, I think Ghost is going to be contacting me soon, letting me know that I should start dinner. So let's see who else is writing. Oh, I'm getting the same COVID ad every time. Listen, government of Canada, I'm triple vaxxed. I think we might drop in on Tempest, because I have not been able to raid him in a while, and it would be nice to show some love. And let me abandon my white noise that I worked so hard to turn on. Listen. Yes. Sprints are happening. I hear the clicky clackies. Let's do it. I heard there was baby talk. We talked very briefly about the fact that it is every woman's choice whether or not she wants to have a baby, and no one should judge her for the choice that she makes. I know when I was growing up, there was a general consensus in the small town that I grew up in that it was assumed that every young girl would eventually have or want to have children, and I knew several friends who didn't want to have kids, and you know, I feel like our parents reacted to us in a certain way, and I feel like maybe that was unfair. I don't necessarily think it should be an expectation that every woman by default will have or want to have kids, and it's everyone's choice how they want to spend their life, and if kids wouldn't enrich you, then that wouldn't help anyone. There's my text saying that he's home. He's coming home. He's coming home. Ghost Pepper's coming home. I gotta go feed him. Kids are kind of the worst. Well, see, and if that's your opinion, Shagras, then you probably don't want to have kids, and if you did have kids, you'd probably hate it, so that's not gonna help anybody. Tell Ghost I miss him. I will, Shagras, when he gets home. Society puts that pressure on girls. I don't want to have babies. Exactly. And I feel like, you know, I do want to have kids. Oh, Flutter is live. She passed her test. What? Okay, we were gonna raid Tempest, but what is Flutter doing? Is she crafting? I don't see her as live. Flutter die. Is she crafting? Is that what's happening? Oh, she's on her start screen. Okay. Thursday, I passed my test. Nice. All right, we're gonna drop in on Tempest because I like to spread the love. I mean, she said it says Thirsty Thursday, so it probably will be Fall Guys, but who knows? I mean, she may have forgotten to change it. I will be sure to drop by and say hey to her. But because people are writing, unless chat wants to vote on rating Flutter, I will take a vote. But if the writers want to go to a writing sprint stream so that they can continue to sprint, we will prioritize that since we were writing. So chime in now because I got like 2 minutes before I gotta go. So tell me what y'all want and we'll do it. If 2 or more people agree, I will assume that that's a majority. I'll probably watch YouTube after this. I don't mind who we raid. Raid Flutter. We have 1 Flutter vote. I'm very easy to sway. I just need 2 votes. It's a weird democracy. Could do a shout out for Tempest and those who want to stay writing content and then raid Flutter. That is absolutely what I was thinking. Is Flutter on camera? She is. All right, let's... So please do check out Tempest because he's super awesome. Another Game of Tomes writer. Another person who encouraged me and who's like lurking in their streams encouraged me to go ahead and do my own writing streams. So please check that out. Tempest does a lot of folking with Sable as well. So for sure, hop over, give them some love. We're gonna raid Flutter Die and congratulate her for passing her test. How does things work? That's how things work. Please use any emotes that make you happy, because it's all about spreading the love. And if you head over to Tempest stream, you can also say that I sent you. You don't have to, but you can. Thank you guys for the stream. I'm so sorry that it was delayed. Hopefully tomorrow morning I will have power and be able to stream at 10 a.m. so that we can actually do a morning stream. But this went very well. I'm happy with what I wrote, even though some of it is a train wreck. And I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Like, seriously, it has been such a weird week. I'm pretty sure I'm cursed by the universe, and getting to hang out with you guys has been the bright spot in, like, all of the weird shit that's been happening. So knock on wood, we're done with all the cursed universe stuff, and I'll be back here tomorrow for a fun little prompt. Take care, you guys. Have a great rest of your night. I'll see you soon.
Oh my goodness.